One person. What's up, Jesse? Good. How are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. There's Janie. How are you, dearie? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Rhonda Sloan, how are you? Mega Aramik is early tonight. Holy smacks. Jess B, Tommy, how are you? Tommy's early. Janie's in the house with us. What's up, Rich? Claire, how are you? Claire Harris. Hey, Troy, how are you, buddy? Clocks ahead tonight, guys. Clocks ahead tonight. Poppy from Norway. No, Sweden. What's up, Poppy? How are you? Wesley September. What day, Janie? SDL, how are you? Little Popo racing. In 3 minutes, your birthday's going to be here tonight with us, Janie? Oh, shit. How old are you, 29 tonight? Janie's turning 29 tonight. Well, shit. So I got 3 lot lizard stories for you. And I've got me a shit ton of paranormal, Dogman, and everything else. What's up, Rick? Melissa, how are you? Giants exist 100%. 100%. Hey, Rita, how are you? Alan Howell. So, this is crazy. Augusta, how are you tonight? This is crazy. Sonny the Wandering Gypsy. I went and I talked about that book, Solomon Island Mysteries by Maris Boyrayan, right? And I had my copy. I was going to buy a copy in the basket on eBay. And I had to go to my bank and deposit some money into the bank before I could buy it. So I was like, should I buy this book, or should I upload the video or buy the book first? What should I do? I'm like, you know what? I'll just buy the book after I upload the video. So I go and upload the video. I run to my bank, which is like 4 blocks away, and I come back to buy the book. And literally, the book was sold. Any copy that was under $300 on the Solomon Island Mysteries about the Giants of Solomon Island had been sold. There's like 3 copies available, all ranging from like $400 to $1,000 now. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What's up, Barking Wolf Professor? Happy birthday to Janie. Happy birthday to Janie. Happy birthday, dear Janie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Janie. I love you. Red Cardinal, how are you? Shari. I don't read anything that Lauren Coleman writes. But I know the book. I pretty much anything Stephen Quayle or other people in his organization, right? But I mean, I've read a lot of stuff about Gigantopithecus. What's up, Scott? How are you, buddy? DB Mac, what's going on? MJ Bates, Frank Morris, how are you? Peter Parsons. So I've got some really cool experiences for you guys tonight. Sonic Fox, Delirium, holy smacks. Thank you very much. I won't be on for long. Just got home from the hospital. Damn stomach tumor trying to kill me again. Sound a few oriented to failure. Glad to be alive. Dude, I am glad that you are here with us. Thank you so much. And you are in my prayers. Oh my God. Oh my God. You are definitely in my prayers, and I am sure everyone else is as well. Wow. Thank you. What's up, Nick? How are you, buddy? Well, the short-nosed bear is said to be bigger than Sasquatch as well. So anything from thousands of years ago is larger than what we could have on Earth right now because of the oxygen and other gas levels and how they were different. Wow. Delirium, I am so sorry. Thank you so much, though. I truly appreciate it. And please get well. You are a huge part of this channel. Nairoshi, how are you? I think that they are. I honestly think there's something that, Hollywood has glamorized and made trolls and ogres look like what we think they do. I don't think they look like what people, when we say troll or ogre, our mind perceives. I think they exist because, just like Danny Van Drimeny says in his book, Neanderthal, how Neanderthal predation created modern human, that legends of ogres and trolls and everything such has existed for time immemorial. So I think they are existing. I think anything that is anything very large and cryptid, like I'm starting to think about Dogman and other large cryptids may be a offshoot of not directly a distant descendant or descendant's creation or whatever from the fallen angels. Because not only did they breed with human women, but they did create monsters by using genetic experimentation too, which it states in the Book of Giants. So Motorboat, how are you? Kathy Hayes, how are you? Joseph Cannon, how are you? All right. So I found this really... Jody Sugar, how are you? Bread of Andy? Sonia, how are you, dear? I found this really cool website, and I had to use Google Translate to translate it because a lot of it was in Russian. The majority of it was in Russian. And I want to share this experience with you guys first because I found it very interesting. So we got 3 lot lizard stories for later on tonight and a shitload of other encounters. So let's get into it right now. This encounter occurred in 2012. Eyewitness Alexander O. did not tell anyone except close relatives and friends about it. We were first informed about this by his daughter and then by a witness himself after gaining his trust. Below is his verbatim account and description of the creature. This is in Belarus, 2012. I used to go there to gather mushrooms. It was 4 years ago during the first days of August. And so I drove up to this place, left my car. My wife went to the side of the lake. I looked around, not too many mushrooms around, and I started calling for my wife. Lena, let's go, let's go. But she went further away, and so I could not hear her anymore. So I began collecting a few of the mushrooms that were there. I pick them up and call out for my wife again. And this is what happened next. Believe it or not. I look up and see something like burnt wood. It was thin and black, very black. Figured it was a just burned tree. So I didn't pay it any attention at first and kept walking. The tree was standing still. I went over and I thought, well, I'll take a look. I felt this attraction and urge to see this thing. Likewise, I raise my eyes, and there is a head 3 times the size of mine. It looks like a monkey's. Low forehead, large eyes. It looks at me, but it's literally 4 meters away, 3 or 4 meters away. So this keeps looking at me. And it's a kind face with a pleasant expression. Not mean at all. I wasn't scared at all. It was overgrown with hair and black skin too. Lips and nose just like a human's. But I could not see the torso. I didn't see any arms or legs. I focused and wanted to talk to it since it did look intelligent. And I said, wow, just like that. As soon as I said, wow, it disappeared instantly. It did not hide behind other trees. It just simply disappeared into thin air before my eyes. After a while, my wife came back. Afterward, I had a stake of bad luck. I got a flat tire in my car afterward. I wasn't afraid after the sighting. The whole thing was 3 meters high, maybe even more, but the torso was very thin. It was all hairy. I don't know, maybe it was standing sideways. But the main thing is I didn't see any arms or legs. So Belarus, 2012. Very interesting experience. What's up, Coker? Justin Russell, how are you? Derek Davies, how are you, buddy? Barbie B, how are you? Raven? STL, it was not short, though. It was very large. Its head was 3 times the size of his. What's up, George Coker? Coker? No, you're good. All right, this one's a little long, but it's really friggin' interesting. And I actually, when I read this like, I read this Sunday morning, the night or the day after last week's live. In 1973, I met 2 very tall persons, about 8 to 12 feet in height, a man and woman on the side of Mount St. Helens. I went there as a prep trip to go canoeing and the not there now Spirit Lake. Since it was March, I found the lake under snowdrifts, so I went to the top of the mountain to climb it. As I got out of my VW Super Beetle, I was overcome with fear. Terror gripped me. Try as I might, I could not force myself to cross the parking lot to the beginning of the trail where a family were beginning their ascent. I could not move because the fear within me petrified my body. I then saw in my mind's eye, through the third eye, a mountain blowing up right underneath me. I saw the mountain and the rocks and the trees below me and all around me being superheated and exploding into shreds. I shouted to the family to get out of there because the mountain was about to blow. They looked at me like I was a nut and probably on drugs. I did have long hair back in those days. The day was a beautiful, clear day, and I quickly realized that the sensation I was receiving was only a premonition of an event to come. I fell back into my car and got out of there. On my way down, I stopped at the lodge where I bought some beer from the owner, Harry Truman, who made a snide comment to me when I stopped to debate getting a bag of chips after buying some beer. I almost, with knowing, said to him that someday he would die up there with his mountain. I didn't, and I left. Further down the mountaintop, as I turned a sharp corner, I passed by two people who were dressed in all white robes. At first, I thought it were Hare Krishna out for a hike. And being 20 miles from Toledo, Washington, I pulled over, got out to offer them a ride to the town. Immediately, two things happened. First, as I walked up to them, I realized that I had to look up at them like I was looking at the top of a basketball net. That realization freaked me out, but I did love an adventure. As I walked up to them, I offered to give them a lift to town. The woman then turned to the man and said quietly, "I thought we were supposed to meet someone here." The man, who also had long hair, only slightly raised his right hand in my direction to indicate that I was the contactee they were waiting for. This point was not lost on me. Next, a car pulled up and asked me if I was all right. Again, my senses told me all was not normal at all. I knew the man and the carload of four people, perhaps a man and his wife in the front seat and daughter and son in the back, could not see the tall people towering over me. I said that I was simply overtaken by the beauty of the scenery and just had to get out and take a look at it. Slowly, very slowly, they drove away. I'd covered for what to then seemed like me talking to imaginary people, but they were real, very real. The woman again turned to the man and said, "He can see us," to which he replied, "He is in an altered state of consciousness." Then the man turned to me and said, "You deceived them." Thinking that I had done them a favor by covering for them, I did not have a ready reply. I then asked them if they wanted a ride to town. I was torn at this point between what I know about my reality of this dimension and what really I knew who was standing before me were beings that were not from this dimension. Yet I could not wholly accept that fact. The man turned to the woman and said with a sweeping gesture toward the car, "Shall we?" So they walked to the car. I wanted to tell them about what had just happened at the top of Mount St. Helens. As they approached the super beetle, I knew that they were very, very tall, not normally tall, but way tall, and would not fit in my car. I said, "Maybe it's not such a good idea," to which the man replied, "We'll fit fine." Before my eyes, these two beings began to shrink. The man got into the back seat along with the lady, which in our culture, the man would usually get in the front, right? After they got in, the man turned to the woman and said, "Are you okay?" She said, "I am fine." I needed a beer. I opened a Bud. This was rural backwoods Washington State in 1973, and offered them a beer as well. I took in my now normal-sized guest in the back seat of my souped-up super beetle. Their robes were somewhat soiled and had dirt marks and signs of wear like they had been hiking through the woods. I did not expect this from what I had come to accept as aliens or some kind of angel. They really looked real. The guy had really long fingers, and that's when I saw that. To my surprise, he had 6 fingers on his hand. 6 fingers on his hand. Since I was driving at the time, the man said in a polite but commanding voice, "Turn around and watch the road." To which I replied, as any young 20-year-old who already totaled 3 cars doing stunts, "I'm good, man. I can drive and talk at the same time." "What are you drinking?" he said. "It's a bud," I said. "What is that?" he said. "Beer, alcohol." That's when he said alcohol, that's poison. My guest hesitated for a few seconds before he spoke again. "Alcohol is going to cause you a lot of problems in your lifetime." He was right about that. I turned around again to scope out these 2 hitchhikers. The young woman smiled. They both looked like they were in their early 30s. She had long brown hair. His hair was as long as hers, which was at least shoulder length. I said, "Toledo's 20 miles away." "That would have been a long walk," I said. "What were you guys doing on the mountain?" Or what were you doing on the mountain, he asked. My mind was fighting with the thought now of I just may have 2 aliens who just shape-shifted in size to the back of my car and who were chewing me out for drinking. I was beginning to question my rationality. And what if they wanted to eat me or something? I told them all about my experience on the mountain and the feeling and the vision I just had. That's when he began to give me specific details about the date, the time eruption of Mount St. Helens. He even told me how many people were going to die up there. About 60 to 70 will die on the mountain when it erupts, he said. 68 dead on it, May 18th, 1980. 7 years later, I would find myself working in Lewis County as a transporter for senior services. I had something to do with the red zone being established, but that's another story. I had told so many predictions about the mountain that came true before the eruption that one grandmother just after it erupted said, "You did it. You made that mountain blow up." The alien or whatever said something that triggered a repressed memory I had. He said it would happen because of a flood that we had prevented that year. Then I began to feel really strange about the encounter. I was sure he could not have known about the topographical map I had drawn in my cabin last year and how I had highlighted in blue everything in the state of Washington under 3,000 feet and wrote a short story about me and my family living on Mount St. Helens Island after the flood. Or could he? "Who are you?" I asked. The woman leaned over to him and quietly, with her easy smile, asked him, "Should we tell him who we are?" "No," he said. Then he said to me, "We're watchers." Right about then, I knew I had stepped into a forest I did not know anything about. "I mean, what are your names?" He said his name. "My name is Gurusi Sumon." I said I would not be able to remember that name and didn't for 30 years. Then, in a dream, I heard his name as he had spoken it. "And my name is you. It's real easy to remember. Just think about it this way. Say, 'Is you?' and you will remember." I did remember it. Also, I read something unique about the name "Is you" and a significance about that name. But again, I cannot place what importance it is. You guys know. Of all the wonderful questions I could have asked them, I failed to do so. I still beat myself up for letting a great opportunity slip through my fingers out of primal fear of the unknown. We were about 10 miles out of Toledo, Washington by then, and he said, "Pull over here. And when we get out, don't look back." So I pulled over and let them out. And of course, as I pulled away, I looked back to see them grow back to their 10-ish to 12-ish feet in height and then vanish. Later, the next year, in a total accident, I was pinned inside of my Super Beetle on a bridge over a river with no way out and not knowing how to swim. I was lifted out of the window and flown out over the river. I was set down in front of the car, and the driver took me to the hospital. Who are you? She asked. I'm just a man, I replied. It's all any of us can be. Angels? Angels? Any takers? Savage Lunatic, how are you? Captain Ron, how are you? Yes. Yoder not, how are you, my friend? I believe watchers are a type of angel, Aramic. I do believe so. What's up, Gary? No, SDL, angels and Nephilim are not the same. Or watchers and Nephilim are not the same. If Liz was here tonight, which she'll probably be later, she will know which book in Stephen Quayle's Library of Facts that it talks about watchers and the differences between them and other things. So when she comes, I will remember and ask her. Well, the fallen angels, Emily, were the fathers of the Nephilim, but they aren't watchers either. There is something totally they didn't fall either, because they weren't kicked out of heaven. They were actually cast down to heaven, or cast down from heaven. It is going fast tonight. I don't know how to control it. I have too, Danny. Once in a while, when I was younger, I did. Trisha Ann, thank you so much, dearie. That's a great question, Joe. Joseph Cannon. I'm not sure. I really am not. But I mean, you're also talking to the guy, Arabic! You're also talking about the guy that thinks that demons and the reptilian aliens are the same thing, and quite possibly angels may be alien-like beings as well. So, I mean, Little Creatures is a good book. Little Creatures is a great book, actually. Great book. Hang on one second. I just got to run to the other room. All right. Speaking of Dan Quayle, if you guys want to get an amazing book, True Legends, Tales of Giants and Plumed Serpents by Stephen Quayle. I mean, I don't know why I said Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle, the president or vice president. Like, he wrote a fucking book that was worthwhile. This book is truly an amazing book, and it's a good one. It's not a little shitty, showy, shooty. Thank you, Janie. On your birthday, you most certainly didn't have to. I got a couple different ones coming from New Mexico, Outlaw 13. New Mexico is a very special place. It is very special. What's up, Joel? My head is fucking pounding tonight, kids. All right, here we go. This is a kind of like a specter. Santiago Creek Wash, Orange County, California, or Orange, California. This is a true story. It happened 15 years ago. I used to spend a lot of time in Lake Tahoe and returned home to Santa Ana after several months. The morning after I returned, I walked from our home in Park Santiago to coffee in Old Town Orange. While I crossed over the bridge on Grand Avenue that spanned a wash which had been a bike path and steep side embankments, I looked down to the left and I saw a dark-haired man walking around, agitated below by the bike trail. He was clawing at his chest and white shirt, seemingly was completely disoriented. He was facing me. To his left was a two-story brick wall beneath a gas station, and to his right was the bike trail and a deep rocky wash. As I stood and watched him, I got my phone out to call the police in case he started taking his shirt off. I'd run across pervs on the bike path before. Then suddenly he bent down and picked up a red messenger bag. I noticed there was something white like a sheet at his feet. As I thought it odd that I hadn't noticed it before, it all disappeared right in front of me. There was nowhere he could have gone, as the area was a small land patch with only a tree and a tall wall. I thought, huh? And then just continued my walk. My husband picked me up at Starbucks to drive me home. As we drove back over the wash, I told him what happened. He looked at me and said, "You saw a ghost. Someone was stabbed to death down there while you were gone, honey." That's creepy. Kakalina, how are you, dear? Darren K, how are you? Tracy Jones, how are you? Happy birthday to Tracy Jones's twins. Somewhere in America, how are you? 175 Hydro. Hello, Colleen. These encounters took place May 2015. It was between 3 to 4 a.m., and I had walked outside of my camper trailer to relieve myself. Due to skunks, I carry a flashlight, scanning the grass so I wasn't sprayed. When the flashlight hit the tree line, I could see a dark hump kneeling down. I heard twigs breaking, so I made a noise by stomping my foot. This being stood up quickly and ran into the brush behind a tree. It was 5 feet or so in height. I could clearly see glowing eye shine that was bright yellow like a glow stick. It was peering from behind a tree while looking curiously at me up and down and side to side. I threw my full water bottle at it, hitting the tree, though it didn't seem bothered by the noise. I quickly ran back into my camper and told my girlfriend what happened, telling her that there is a being and extremely frightening. She mentioned that I was all pale in complexion from the experience. I did not go out again that night. Two evenings later, at a different location, it happened again. I had gone out at around 8 p.m. and noticed the same being standing by the shoreline on Lake Huron, Michigan. This time it wasn't concealed by woods, and I saw it looking at me. I grabbed a piece of driftwood in order to defend myself. This time it ran like a human, but much faster toward the water. I heard it enter the water. I again was scared and immediately ran back to my camper. It was the most I have ever been afraid in the wilderness at night in my life. The next day, I noticed matted grass all around the area. I set out trail cams in order to capture an image, but was unsuccessful. I believe that it may have been an alien, a gray, though the size and shape was more human. What could it have been? Was it following me? I had a lost time experience later in the summer, but I have no idea if that is related or not. Hey, Darth Revan, how are you? I said hi earlier, and I agreed with you on something. We were trying. Yeah, that's crazy down in Texas, the measles, that breakout. You're in the Upper Peninsula, Derek? Beautiful area. Bet it's still a little chilly up there, huh? What's up, Nick French? How are you? Kitty Wolfress. Haha, thank you so much. Blackie the dog. This one goes out to you, Aramic. You and your multiple years of searching for the Mothman and all of your great research you have gifted us. What's up, John Sumner? I woke up early this morning, had a cup of coffee, and then left the house in a bit of a rush. Just like in the days when I was employed, I struggled hard to grasp that concept, unemployment. What a difficult transition to make, employed to unemployed. The days seemed longer, not to mention the nights. Sometimes for hours I'd lie in bed just staring at the ceiling, wishing that a job would somehow materialize. Wishful thinking, eh? I even shower sometimes, dress in work clothes, and head for the door, trying hard to convince myself that there is indeed life after unemployment. This morning, I drove to the back road to bask in the serenity of the sea waves outside of Portmore, Jamaica. I parked my car with the back to the sun, adjacent to where those skimpy-clad ladies ply their trade. At this time of the morning, it was just me and the seagulls. The rushing waves bashing lazily against the seashore could also be heard. I sat in my chair and listened while I munched on a piece of stale white bread that I had in my car. I washed that down with some car temperature water. That was breakfast. Facing the Hellshire Hills, I could view the entire Black Road stretch, from LaRousse to Rodney's Arms and up to the quiet hills of Fort Augusta. It was a peaceful experience. I concentrated briefly on those rushing waves battering the seashore like a scratched record. It went on and on like music to my depressed ears. I glanced to my left at this peaceful Caribbean sea. I observed what I initially thought was a man swimming in the deep waters. I looked away, as it was not unusual to see swimmers in the early mornings. To a big surprise, I heard the sound of flapping wings. I turned around in time to see the person airborne. "Hey, what is this, Fada?" I said. The person was flying toward me at a leisurely pace. I tried to beat the hasty retreat. I tried starting my car. It wouldn't budge. I got out and tried to run. My legs were frozen. "Lord, me dead now." He's literally writing in Jamaican, like, that's why I'm saying it like that. I screamed while the birdman flew toward me. I sat back in my car, resigned to my fate. What is to be must be, odd lad. Then the birdman landed in front of me on what appeared to be a dumped up land. Birdman didn't appear to see me while I was busy in my car wetting my pants. I looked at him in detail. It stood 7 feet in height. It looked human except for this one eye in the center of its forehead. It was green in color and had webbed hands and feet and a scaly body. Its wingspan was about 15 feet. It was bipedal, walking past my car and heading toward the road. Water was dripping from its skin. As it passed within 5 feet of my car, it bared its fangs in what seemed like a menacing grin. I jumped back in awe and hid under the back seat. I wondered if he saw me, I questioned. My question was immediately answered when the creature stopped, turned around, and looked me in my eyes. It started to walk toward me with an unfriendly grin, and I could swear that at that moment I lost consciousness. I was awash with cold sweat. I tried to run again. My legs were not working. This is it then. Goodbye, all. My kids, my girlfriend, everyone. I'll see you at the great resurrection. I was pronouncing myself dead. Then out of nowhere, I heard blaring sirens. Some policemen in the lopsided Kingfish were chasing some gunmen in a Lexus. No match for speed there at all. So the commotion went on. Stop in the name of the law, policemen shouted. Bang, bang. The police fired and the gangsters fired back. A shootout was taking place on the back road. The creature looked puzzled. What the hell is going on? It was probably thinking. It ran toward my car, leaped over it, and then was airborne. It flapped its large wings, slowly drifting out of my eyes distance. My eyes were glued on this creature until it dove back into the sea. The siren and gunshots did the trick. Or I'd be Birdman's morning breakfast. I never thought I'd be saying this, but thank God for police and bad men. They certainly did save my life on that infamous morning. I started my car and did a disappearing act myself. Pool into the sunset. Tracy Ann, welcome. Thank you. Winter Sky, how are you? 5 rings. How are you, buddy? Did you hear? Opening day, opening game is going to be the 18th. The Tokyo series, Cubs versus the Dodgers. Fucking A. Super stoked. I wish I was rich so I could go and check that out. Dude, I knew you'd like that, Aramik. I knew you would appreciate. Daryl Williams, what's going on? Danny Sanders, Dodgers are the greatest team on earth. Greatest team on earth. And I'm from New York. Dude, it's going to be a freaking, I don't know. I'm a little nervous because the Cubs have won, I think we played them twice or 3 times in spring. So I think we might lose. But that, I don't know. It's Tokyo. Tokyo is a magical town. I need a little Coke. I need a little Coke. Get the joke? They are they are getting along well, Claire. They are really getting along well. Thank you for asking. Tigger is his disposition is so amazing. Like Apollo will jump on him, and like I thought Tigger was gonna fuck him up the other day, but no, he just pushed him away and laid down and exposed his belly. Thanks, Tommy. Want to see what I did? Do you guys want to see what I did to myself? I was debating on getting a new tattoo, right? I was like, all right, do I want to get a new tattoo? Or do I want to make a statement and feel a little pain so I know that I'm still alive? I didn't get a new tattoo, but can you see? Can you see? It's a hole, a big hole. I can fit a pencil through it on both sides. It fucking hurt. It really fucking hurt. I think I think a little poop came out when I popped it in. I was like, oh, boop. 6 gauge. Aramec 6 gauge. What's up, Sully? Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at 6. Because it looks good, you know, like it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good. I like it. I use this. I use this to do it. I went, can you fucking imagine? Imagine. Well, I had them stretched when I was younger, and I only went to an 8 gauge when I was in my 20s. But that's what my tongue got pierced with when I was younger, Danny. I still have the hole from it. It got infected real bad. No, I did it myself, Aramik. I did it myself. I stretched that fucker out myself. I went. It would be savage, wouldn't it? You just get a hole punch and you're like, bah! Oh! It's time for some music. What about oh. Let's think of a good song. All right. All right. Name this 1980s tune. Anyone guess it? Name that 1980s tune. No, not Eye of the Tiger. That was last week. It was Don't Worry, Be Happy. Ooh, put another dime in the jukebox, baby. That's what I will teach myself next week. All right, how about name this 1990s New York City rap song. Any guesses? Any takers? 20 bucks. Says the 20 bucks. Oh. Oh my God, you got it, High Strangeness. Nope, it was Cream by the Wu-Tang. I gave you a hint, guys. I said New York City. I did play Sabotage once. I gave myself a fucking, like a full facial hematoma when I played Sabotage. Like last week. My teeth are doing good. I get my what's today, the 8th? I get my permanent implants in on the 18th. They look good. Lake 17, thank you. All right. My sister was driving her ex-husband and his son back home from a birthday dinner at their favorite restaurant on April 17th, 2012, and was coming through Roan Mountain, Tennessee, along a 2-lane stretch of road. When ahead of them, they saw what appeared to look like a large white ball that moved out onto the highway directly from a cemetery above. She said that it began coming towards them as if it was trying to collide with the vehicle, and the closer they got to this thing, they had a better look at it. She described it as appearing half reptilian animal, half human with human limbs. It had 2 arms and 2 legs and was crawling on its belly. She hoped that the creature would exit the highway and into the woods to prevent from getting hit, but it just continued moving directly at them and the vehicle. She slammed on her brakes to avoid hitting it, and at that point, the creature went from crawling to spinning like a tornado right before it made contact with the front of the vehicle. Then she said it went beneath the radiator and vanished. She and her ex and the son were all quite shaken and terrified, and said that whatever the creature was, it wasn't anything from this world. She continued describing it as having 2 human arms and legs, mid-body alligator or reptilian, and white as snow. It crawled on its stomach like a reptile. Her ex stated that during the encounter, it felt like time had stood still. Everything had slowed down. All 3 of them agreed that they had a very eerie feeling of something very evil present before they encountered this thing. You know what time it is? Anybody know what time it is? Any ideas of what time it may be? It is our favorite. Yes, Aramic. It is time for our favorite fictional lot lizard love. All right. We'll do this one first. Okay, these are the only fictional tale, I have to say it. This is the only fictional tales you will hear on this channel. Had to do the old ball shake. Donna Harmon, how are you? All right. These are the only fictional tales you will hear on this channel. These were written by me, expressively for me and my channel and you guys. All right, here we go. The flickering neon sign of the dusty spur truck stop buzzed like an angry hornet, a lonely beacon in the vast, inky Texas night. For truckers traversing the long, desolate highways, it was a haven, a place for hot coffee, lukewarm showers, and maybe, just maybe, a brief respite from the monotony of the road. But lately, the dusty spur had become known for something else entirely. Lizzo. Lizzo was not your average lot lizard. For one, she was built like a refrigerator, wearing a leopard print dress, and 2, she had the reputation that preceded her, like a diesel engine roaring up a steep incline. Rumors whispered through the CB radios, tales of truckers disappearing for hours, only to reappear looking pale, shaken, and refusing to speak about their ordeal. The uncommon thread they all had met, Lizzo. Earl, a seasoned trucker, had a gut that strained against his I Heart Truck Stop t-shirt, scoffed at the rumors. Bunch of hogwash, he declared to his buddy Dale over a greasy burger at the different truck stop. Just old wives' tales to scare rookies. But tonight, Earl's route had led him to the dusty spur, and curiosity, like a persistent mosquito, was starting to bite. He pulled his rig into a vacant spot. The air brakes hissed like a disgruntled dragon. The truck stop was eerily quiet, save for a mournful howl of the wind. As he lumbered toward the diner, he saw her, Lizzo. She was leaning against a semi-truck, her considerable form casting a long, distorted shadow in the dim light. Earl, despite his bravado, felt a knot of unease tighten in his stomach. He tried to avoid eye contact, but it was like trying to ignore a supernova. Lizzo straightened up, a mischievous glint in her eye. Howdy, big boy, she purred, her voice surprisingly high-pitched for someone of her stature. Long haul? Earl cleared his throat. Just passing through, he mumbled, trying to keep his gaze above her. Well, you know. Passing through, huh? Well, why don't you pass through my little truck for a little relaxation? She winked, and Earl swore he saw a tiny devilish spark flicker in her eye. Against his better judgment, he found himself agreeing. He told himself it was the loneliness of the road, the allure of the forbidden. Anything but the growing sense of dread that was slowly creeping into his bones. He followed her to her truck, a garish painted monstrosity that looked like a unicorn had exploded inside. The interior was even worse. A chaotic mess of leopard print feather boas and enough air fresheners to suffocate a small rhino. Lizzo winked. Make yourself comfortable, sugar. Earl nervously sat at the edge of a single questionably looking bed. Lizzo turned to face him, and that's when the horror truly began. She launched into a story about her prize-winning Chihuahua, Mr. Snuggles, who apparently had a penchant for wearing tiny sombreros. Earl tried to feign interest, but his mind was racing. He was trapped in a glitter-bombed hell with a woman who had probably bench-pressed the entire rig. Then she started to sing, off-key and loudly. It was a bizarre medley of Dolly Parton and death metal, and Earl felt his sanity slowly unravel. He considered making a run for it, but the door was blocked by Lizzo's ample frame. Suddenly, Lizzo stopped singing. She smiled, a wide, unsettling grin that revealed a surprisingly number of gold teeth. Now for the special, she whispered. Her voice dropped into a husky rumble. Earl's eyes widened. He knew what was coming. He heard stories. The suffocating embrace. The boob smothering. He tried to scramble off the bed, but Lizzo was too quick. She lunged, her massive form descending upon him like a fleshy avalanche. No, please, Earl choked, his voice muffled by, well, you know. He struggled, but it was no use. He was trapped, suffocating in a perfumed leopard print prison. Time seemed to distort and warp. He thought he saw Mr. Snuggles wearing a sombrero, staring at him with judgmental eyes. Then, just as he thought he was about to black out, Lizzo pulled back, gasping for air. Whew, she explained, fanning herself. Almost passed out myself. You're a heavy breather, honey. Earl lay there, a sweaty, trembling mess, convinced he had glimpsed the edge of madness. He scrambled off the bed, practically tripping over himself to escape the truck. He ran all the way back to his rig, starting the engine and peeling out of the dusty spur truck stop, leaving a trail of dust and lingering scent of cheap perfume. He didn't stop driving until he reached the next state. He never spoke of this encounter at the dusty spur, but sometimes in the dead of night, he would awake in a cold sweat, and the image of Lizzo's gold-toothed grin burned into his memory. And he knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that legends of the dusty spur are not just old wives' tales. They are a warning about evils that lurk in the shadows of the highway. the evils that wore leopard print and smelled faintly like air freshener, and the evils that had an unearthly fondness for suffocating truckers in their, well, you get the picture. From that day on, Earl stuck to Flying J and avoided any truck stop that even remotely resembled the Dusty Spur. He'd rather drive all night than face Lizzo again. Richard Minnick, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, Aramic. Thank you. Thank you, Darth Revan. Thank you. Earl is doomed. I have a story all about Earl though tonight. Earl always gets his own story because Earl's the fucking man. I'm doing well, Darth Revan. I am doing well. Thank you, Janie. Thank you, James Moses. My hair's getting longer again. Can't wait until it's fucking back. Yes, if I run for presidency in 2028, I will release the files, the Cryptid files, and the JFK files, and the MLK, and the RFK, and any other files that aren't ever fucking put out. And I will also run with Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley will be my vice president. All right. 2 years ago, I lived in an old house outside of city limits in western Alabama. Wild hogs are considered a nuisance in this part of the country and thus are a year-round game. The land wasn't mine, but it was legal hunting ground, so my landlord gave me and my friends explicit permission to take care of any hog we came across. So a lot of the time, especially during the winter when this encounter took place, I was posted up on my back porch with a cigar and a gun, either by myself or with company. This land wasn't very clear. In fact, we had only had about 20 feet from the porch to the tree line. Then it would go downhill and brush would get thicker. So our hunting was just being quiet and looking for beady eyes of hogs in the foliage we heard rustling around. All that being said, one night during my porch sitting, I heard some rustling. I started scanning the woods for this hog and eventually did come across a set of white, beady eyes. They weren't hog eyes, though, because these eyes were eye level with me. As my eyes continued to adjust, the rest of this creature started coming into view. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly arms and legs. Its entire body was completely black. I couldn't make out any other facial features beside its eyes, but what I could make out was that this thing was actually a good ways down the hill. So the fact that it was still eye level with me meant that it was likely 10 feet in height. It started up the hill moving toward me, and I had this feeling in my gut that the 45 caliber bullets probably weren't going to do much to this thing. So I slowly collected my things and headed back into the house. It didn't make any sound as it moved other than the slight crunch of leaves. As it climbed the hill, it somewhat stopped at the tree line, then turned and walked along the edge. It bobbed and lurched a bit as it walked, kind of how large birds bob their head as they move. That was the most terrified I had been in a long while. And this wasn't the only encounter. My hunting buddies and I saw it several more times, walking through the trees a good bit away from the house, sometimes turning to look at us. My roommate had moved in later that same year, once walked outside and saw it right up against the porch, looking right down at her. It never tried to attack anyone or even acted aggressively. So we eventually stopped being as scared, though still very cautious, and started to call it Big Boy. I've told a couple of my other friends about this. One of them said the description and behavior matched something called the California Dark Watcher. I did my research, and as much as this creature matches up, this was on the opposite side of the continent. I'm still not 100% sure what I saw or what it was. Multiple people did see it, edit typos, and also forget to mention the woods were completely silent every time we would see it. Even the bugs. Things normally get quiet when there is a predator in the area. But, I mean, completely and totally silence. All right, you guys talked me into it. Give me a couple weeks. That, I am going to set some trail cams up. Update, my roommate saw it up close. She said that it was more eerie than downright scary. It looked at her like it was curious, tilting its head to the side like a dog when you're holding something it wants. My hunting buddies and I all saw it from 30 to 40 feet away, but she ended up being much closer than that. She confirmed no features other than the eyes. It had sunken in space on its face where there would be features. I understand her not taking pictures. I wouldn't take pictures of a bear if it were 10 feet from me, let alone this thing. Yes, I did, Richard Minnick. What's up, L2L2? I've only heard of one possible experience where it did have a Dogman did have rabies, but I don't think it did. I don't know. Yeah, fuck that, Sean. You must have been shitting drawers. Shitting drawers. Yeah, I didn't say they didn't. I said I've only heard of one time that I've only had one experience where it could possibly. What's up, Brian? Brian Mons, cryptozoologist extraordinaire. Brian T. Mons. They always try to get in the fucking garbage. Aramek! Thank you, Aramek. I don't know where Tigger is. Let's see. Oh, buddy! Buddy! Let me shake something. Want a little Motrin, buddy? I heard him jump off my bed. Oh, buddy! I'll just shut the door. He'll come in when he wants to. Sean's cats are coming. My cat's an asshole. He won't even come. He'll be like, fuck you, dude. He knows. He goes, those aren't treats. Richard, thank you so much. Richard and Aramek battling out the membership creators, Richard and Aramek. I do have a couple black-eyed kids somewhere. Oh, fuck, yeah, I forgot about this. Ooh. Check this out. I got a good one. These are my favorite. I fucking love aquatic cryptids. Just one, because water scares the shit out of me. Not showers, but water. I don't like swimming. I will swim in a pool if it's real hot. But I will not swim in the ocean. I will not swim in a river. I will not swim in a fucking lake. No, sir, Bob. I won't even go. I went surfing a couple times and I hated it because I knew there were shark out there. But I do love kayaking. So it was 1988. A professional scuba diver named Robert Froster was looking for some underwater formations off the coast of Florida when he suddenly noticed a disturbance in the water in his peripheral vision. As if due to some unknown force, the water around him had suddenly become extremely choppy and violent. The plumes of shaken sediment spiraled up from the seafloor. Through the chaos, a bizarre figure slowly became visible. He turned to look at the area of this anomalous violent water, and he could see the figure seemingly undulating towards him. By the time the gyrating ghoul got within 20 yards of his position, he could see that it had arm-like appendages tipped with talons, and that these limbs were reaching out toward him. The creature continued to swim closer and closer to the stunned diver, who was soon able to make out a pair of unmistakable breasts. The smooth skin on the entity's top half and flowing hair crowned its head. Its hindquarters were covered in scales. This aquatic enigma certainly didn't seem to be your run-of-the-mill Little Mermaid. However, Froster was terrified and would later say that he had never seen such an evil hate in the eyes of any human or animal before. Immediately making a beeline back to the surface, Robert managed to scramble back onto his boat without being physically attacked by the wrathful mermaid. He would never see the creature again. Fuck you, mermaid. God, I hate mermaids. Let me find a black-eyed child. I know I have a few because I didn't read them all last week. Bipedal creature. Possible sighting. What did I see? I know I have some tall humanoid walking toward my car. Bizarre entity. Is it? I don't think I do tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. But I do have a couple of good ones right here. 3 months ago, I had moved to Melbourne. For all of my people down under, this one goes out to you. 3 months ago, I had just moved to Doncaster, Melbourne from Sydney. I worked in a home office and slept alone in the back room. I made some friends, and one night we decided to play with the Ouija board for fun. After they left and I went to bed. My house had old squeaky wooden floors, and that night I could hear something pacing slowly up and down outside of the bedroom. I always closed my door. I got up and checked, but no one was there. It went quiet, and a few hours later it happened again, and still no one. So, freaked out, I asked one of my mates to stay the next night. They slept on the couch, and I went to bed. That night I heard the steps again, but this time my door opened and closed. A male figure stood at the door. At first I thought it was my mate, but then I realized that I could still see the door through the figure. It stood there for a while, then moved toward me. I was frozen in place and could not move. As it got closer, it got darker until it was a solid black shape. It was a man with a cape and a wide-brimmed hat. It stood above me looking down, featureless. It then reached down a hand and placed it on mine. Its touch felt icy cold, and I was able to break out, not being able to move, and sat bolt upright and looked it square in the face, where its eyes should have been. I could now see clearly 2 red dots. In a blink of an eye, it was gone. I know this was real. I put it down as a ghost story until 3 or 4 years ago when I heard about shadow people and was amazed at how many other people have seen shadow men as well. I have only seen it this once. Rockin' steady. How are you, my friend? Tyler Marshall, how are you? The Wolf. You're right, MJ. I should do a little book of lot lizard stories. Have a chapter for, I miss you, Tyler. Have a chapter for like Earl, a chapter for Lizzo. In the infamous Taylor Shifty. All right. Dogman encounter. I've always had weird experiences, be it ghosts or strange animals. It just always seems to follow me and my family. We recently moved into an old farmhouse just off of the main road near Guntersville, Alabama. The house has 88 acres of land and only 4 people, including us, living on it or near it. When we first moved in, nothing abnormal happened. It was just a small house that seemed like a new start for us. After a month of living here, we started hearing strange noises outside at night, but nothing too serious. One night, we decided to have a fire and get drunk. With me and a few of my guys that were there that night, decided to do some night fishing. While fishing on the pond that was maybe a mile into the woods, we started hearing screaming. We just thought that it was one of the girls back at the house, so we headed back. But on our way back, we started to notice that there are no more sounds. No sounds of nature, birds, crickets, nothing. So we did stop to listen. As we do hear the sounds of chains rushing toward us. As it gets maybe 15 feet from us, I point a gun at where I think the sound stopped and fire a shot at the ground a couple inches away. After a minute passes, the chain sound rushes toward the house. Nothing happened after that until we were all inside and started to get ready for bed. We all hear a female scream again, but behind it, there was a deep, distorted laugh. After that, nothing happened. But 3 weeks later, my dad and I went fishing out at the impound late in the afternoon. As it inches closer to dusk, we notice 3 pale white animals on the opposite side of the pond. But as soon as we notice the animals, they run. But instead of running on all fours like normal animals, they all jumped onto their hind legs and jump 8 feet into a tree and hop from tree to tree. As we see this, we decide to head back home. But on the way back, we hear this tree start to rustle, and they keep getting closer and closer until we get to the house and lock the doors. I decide to set up some cams in the woods and around the house. At first, I didn't get anything, just deer and a coyote. One night, a cam close to the house is moved for an hour, then moved back. Nothing really came of it. After a long day of working, I decided to play a video game with a few of my friends. At around 11 p.m., I heard taps, but ignoring it, thinking that it was just my game. It continued till 2 a.m. in the morning, periodically, every 5 minutes. 2 consecutive taps would happen. It finally took my headphones off, and I heard it at my window. When I looked, I saw orange eyes 7 feet off the ground. After 2 minutes of staring at each other, it moved closer to the window and smiled at me with blood-stained daggers for teeth. Its face looked like a pale wolf-like face with some decay along the sides of its neck and head. During this, it backs away and leaves. Now, every night something happens, like tonight, as I'm writing this out. It rushed onto the porch and clawed the door. As it's doing this, it's bellowing out a laugh that almost sounds like a deranged madman across with a hyena. At this point, I am not sure what to think. Are we being hunted? Vang, how are you, my friend? Happy birthday, Vang! Vang, you share a birthday with Jane. What's up, 59th? Happy birthday to Vang. Happy birthday to Vang. Happy birthday to Vang. Happy birthday to Vang. You and Janie. Janie is 29 tonight. I'm glad that you're here with us, 59th. My dad's birthday is on the 24th. The 24th of this month. You just turned 37? Awesome. Happy birthday, my friend. Rocky Michaels! Dude, Rocky Michaels sounds like if Rocky Balboa and Shawn Michaels had a kid. I'm a sexy boy. Sexy boy. Rocky Michael. Dude, that's a badass fucking name. What's your name? I'm Rocky Michaels. Ha ha! Fuck yeah, that's my new fucking porn name. Baby. The fuck is wrong with me? Brandy, thank you. Oh, shit. Baby. This mine is misbehaving. So this was back in 2017, late summer, when it gets dark at around 8 p.m. Me and my class was camping in the woods for some reason, I don't remember, but we was all getting ready to go to bed at the end of the day. I was the last person to go through the woods to the toilets, so I ended up going on my own down a dark path where you can very easily get lost. As I was approaching the path through the woods, I look up over the tree line since I heard a loud, sharp sound, and I see a shadowy figure that looked almost like a goat. It had pointed horns that were completely straight, larger than the trees, and could change size. My only reason to believe it was able to change size is because after freaking out at the first sight of it, I tried throwing a rock at it when all of a sudden it shrunk and disappeared through the tree line. I ran back to the campsite where the teachers were. I told them about it, and of course, they didn't believe me. But I know what I saw, and I am not somebody to fake things in mind or lie about things that could hurt somebody. I told them all it's dangerous and not to go back there even the daytime. I stayed clear of the path while the others did not during these last 3 days. All the being there, all the children my age all came back with some type of injury, and they all couldn't feel, but don't. They all didn't feel it and don't know about it. If anyone can give me some info, yada yada, reach out. I encountered this in 2017 in the United Kingdom in an area called Suffolk. I've lived from then on as if something's always behind me with bad intentions, but I never seen whatever I feel. I still warn people about it to this day. So the kids went in the woods and did not see this thing that hurt them. That's not cool. Richard Minnick, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really do, Richard. Richard. Yeah, wow, we have 324 people, but only fucking 172 in likes. Damn! Nobody likes me. All right, I think it's time for another lot lizard story. Lot lizard. They probably do think I'm smelly. They're like, Jeff's just a smelly ass. All right, here we go. There we go. This is a fictional story. What's up there, Wolf? I did say hi earlier. You must not have heard me. I am very comfortable, Wiley. In the heart of America's sprawling highways, where miles of asphalt curl into the endless night, the rest stops flickered with an unsettling warmth. They were the haven to weary truckers, but also a breeding ground for peculiar stories, like that of Sam Smith, known colloquial as the lot lizard. Sam had the reputation that traveled faster than the trucks rolled with fuel, standing at 6 feet with inky black hair and eyes that glinted like polished coal. He resembled a very embodiment of a misfit from a horror flick. His attire consisted of tight jeans that hugged his form, adorned with studs and spikes. But what truly set him apart was his whimsical accessory, a huge rubber donkey penis hanging proudly from his belt like a trophy. Wait. No, this is new. But it's Sam wasn't the one with the donkey penis. All right. Hanging from his belt like a trophy. The truckers, men hardened by years on the road, were made of tougher material than most. Little rattled them. And they often prided themselves on being the kings of the highway. But when Sam strutted into their sight, complete with his devilish smirk and outlandish costume, laughter mixed with a flicker of fear rippled through the cab of every truck. It's Sam, the devil again, they chuckled, eyes wide as he rehashed how he could approach with swagger that screamed mischief. Sam found great joy in provoking the right blend of terror and laughter. This made him exceedingly popular in his own outrageous way. One fateful misty evening, Sam sauntered into the well-lit truck stop just off of Route 66. Underneath the flickering fluorescent lights, he spotted a brand new rig parked with its engine idling softly. The truck bore a name, Pegasus Freight. In elegant curvaceous across the door, intrigued, Sam approached it, lips curled into a sly grin. Need some entertainment, big boy? He teased, knowing well that he was a sight to behold on a desolate highway. The truck, a burly man named Ron, turned to him with a look of amused disbelief mixed with unhinged curiosity. What in the hell are you supposed to be? Halloween come early? Just your friendly neighborhood devil, Sam replied. The light glinted off his faux horns. Offering a special deal tonight, he gestured to the absurd accessory swinging ever so slightly. Is that a joke? Ron snorted. You think that scares me? Oh, honey, Sam winked. If it doesn't scare you, it might just offend you. Ron, half laughed, half intrigued, leaned back in his seat. What's your story, devil? Sam plopped into the trucker's seat, tossing his legs over the edge. Let's just say I've played both sides in this game of life, mischief and mayhem, but tonight it's all about bringing a little laughter to the dark shadows of the highway. As Sam regaled Ron with tales of his wild exploits, among the glimmering blacktop, an undeniable rapport formed. Sam took pride in entertaining his audience, coaxing hearty laughter from Ron, who couldn't believe how this tattooed lot lizard conducted a perfect cocktail of horror and humor. But the night took a turn with a sinister chill. When a gust of wind rattled through the treetops, suddenly the air felt electric. Shadows seemed to dance along the edges of the lot. All right, buddy, show me what you got, Ron challenged playfully, throwing down a gauntlet as he rubbed his hands in anticipation. Let's see that big rubber penis scare me. With a devilish grin, Sam elevated the rubber donkey appendage dramatically like a sword raised for battle. For a moment, Ron froze, half in jest, half paralyzed by surprise. Is it a bird? A plane? No, it's the legendary Donkey of Doom. Just as Sam struck a pose, an eerie hollow echoed through the night, drawing both men's attention. A black silhouette darted past the truck, prompting Sam and Ron to go silent. What was that? Ron whispered. His bravado slipped away. Trucker's ghost. Sam grinned, lips curled in mischief, and he lowered the rubber appendage slightly. Legend says he roams the highway, scaring the likes of you. Shifts are never the same after he pops by. Ron paled slightly, but Sam managed to keep him giggling at the absurdities of the evening. Being terrified while grinning at Sam's antics was striking. In that moment, with laughter skimming the air, shadows straddling reality and fiction, they both experienced a spine-chilling realization. Sometimes the scariest stories didn't just belong to the dark. Sometimes they manifest in the brightest routines, tinted in horror and humor. Eventually, as dawn began to break, the shadows retreated. Both men laughed wholeheartedly at the night's antics. Ron shifted his gear, ready for a long haul ahead, while Sam vanished into the early morning mist like a cheeky specter. Sam Smith wasn't just a story of a lot lizard. Rather, he was an anomaly, a slice of freaky flair in a dull routine of the road. They would all remember the night the devil grinned and the rubber donkey played with a part of the oddities at the truck stop, where fear and laughter collided in one night of haunting hilarity. Zoe Stark, thank you for becoming a member. We are on the way, aren't we, 59th? I can't believe how close we are to a freaking 100,000. I never thought we would hit 100,000. I remember when I had 10. I bit my tongue. I remember when I had 10 subscribers. Janie was with me. Andy Davis, how are you, buddy? Thank you, Rachel. Hopefully, Brian Mons, you've been here with me for a while too. Maybe I do. I'm not sure. I know you have. Yup, daylight savings time. Joseph Cannon, thank you so much, my friend. Savage Lunatic was number 30. Holy shit. All right, here. Let's see. Let's see what I can find. I want to get a good one. All right, here we go. My husband and I always walk the dog before bed at around 10 to 1 a.m. And normally it's that my husband and I always walk the dog before bed from 10 p.m. through 1 a.m. And normally it's very dead. It'd been raining here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was going to solo walk to the courtyard, but hubby said he would join me to be safe. I walk ahead while he locks the doors and I hear him say hello. I look back and see nobody and he just catches up and doesn't say anything more. The dog and I again walk ahead and he just keeps looking behind us. The courtyard of our complex has a huge grassed area where the apartments surrounded it in a U shape with stairs on both sides. No one is outside, which is odd because normally at 11 p.m. we still see our neighbors. But it was rather chilly. My dog barks and I give him a command to be quiet. He's looking up at the roof. So I turn around and look up and there is something looking down on me and the dog. I feel like I was watching it for 3 minutes, but it's hard to explain what it looked like. It was white with hollow eyes and white arms, but they weren't like human arms, and the head was long like a white dolphin head. My husband said I was not high enough for this and made me look at him. And when I looked back, it was gone. I assumed it was my mind or maybe someone trying to scare us. So I quietly walked to my husband. He pulled away and was upset, which I assume is because I made him go out in the cold. He hates the walks. So I told him to go inside and I will let the dog finish. It isn't raining, but you can hear tin roof noises. The dog seems to be kind of scared, so we just head back with my husband and the dog ahead of me behind a bit. Then I hear a loud bang on the stairs. Our apartment is along the same hallway. So I get almost to our door and turn around and I see this thing on the stairs and it starts to walk backward. I feel very sick. I feel anxiety kick in and ready for an attack. So I just quickly close our door so I can peek out and see it. I ask my husband for his phone, but before he gives it to me, I hear a weird noise from the opposite end of the hall. I gasped and whipped around to see the tail end of it, which looked like a hairless white deer thing, and my husband just pulled me in and closed the door. He said he got spooked when we first went out, and his mind played tricks on him, and he explained what he thought he saw, saying exactly what I saw. He saw it at the end of the hallway where I was last saw it. But when we first went out, it leapt away. Then again, when I saw it look down, which is why he said he wasn't high enough for this, after my panic attack passed, I explained to my husband what I think I saw. I don't know what it was, but it was huge and fast. I thought I did have a black-eyed kid story. I'm kind of pissed that I don't. What's up, Clint? Thank you, buddy. We're all done with our snow, hopefully. It's supposed to be 60 this week. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, in the outskirts of the Chicagoland area. This encounter happened in 2021, though I don't remember the month. It happened before I moved out of my mom's house, and the trees had full foliage, so it was late spring to midsummer. The night that it did happen, I was hanging out at my boyfriend's apartment. I hung out there almost every night of the week and would return home at around 10 to 11 p.m. It was always dark when I drove home, and until this night, I had never really seen anything weird. It was only a 5-minute drive from my boyfriend's apartment to my mom's house. About halfway through the drive, there is an intersection. If you go straight, you will drive to a short stretch of winding roads with woods on both sides. Thank you, Brian Mons. On both sides. One side of the road, there is a small trail that follows it and cuts through the woods. It is a very beautiful walk during the day and a great place to spot deer in the morning. At the end of the road, there is another intersection that meets a larger busy road, which I would use to get to my mom's house. The trail turns into a normal sidewalk at this intersection. So I am driving on this stretch of road, and I am getting close to the house, to the next intersection. There are no other street lamps, so the only light source is coming from my headlights. The trail is to the right of me, and I see a tall, lanky shadow start to walk out of the tree line. As I pass, it continues to walk straight towards the road, almost right into my car. Now, I didn't really process what I saw until I had passed it, so I didn't stop or even slow down. Despite this, it seemed not to care that it almost walked right into my car. It didn't even hesitate. It almost felt like it knew I was coming. Once I realized what I saw, I started freaking the fuck out. I got to the intersection, but the light was red. I sat there, terrified, waiting for the light to turn green, terrified that it was following me. After what felt like an eternity, the light turned green and I sped past the rest of the way. Now, let me give you guys some details of the physical description of the shadow figure. It was completely black, no discernible features, even in my headlights. It was at least 9 feet in height. Very long, skinny arms and legs. It was bipedal, and it walked with a large stride. Its head was round and looked very small compared to any of the other proportions of its body. Definitely humanoid. I don't think it was a crawler due to the shadow-like appearance and how comfortable it walked on 2 legs. It definitely wasn't a person. Also, on a side note, a friend of mine had an scary experience while biking down the same trail at night. He heard what sounded like a woman screaming. I don't know if those incidents are connected, but it is interesting to think about. I don't know. It sounds more like a crawler to me, but they don't think it's a crawler. I think crawler. Three Cat Mom! How are you? Yes, I am so happy that winter is over. Sounds good, Clint. Sounds good. You worry about me? I worry about myself too. I need more caffeine. Clint, thank you, my friend. Oh. I just did 2 crawler stories, buddy. Shackle Neck is a fucking awesome guy. I love Neck. Me and Neck went to Sasquatch, the Sasquatch fucking stupid thing last year. You're good. Neck went this year by himself. I couldn't go with him. I felt really bad. It was weird. Me and Neck are walking through the Bigfoot con, right? And there's a guy that wrote a book about the Bigfoot that happened in Whitehall, New York, right? Me and Neck are walking around. It was more like a craft fair than anything. All of a sudden, this guy comes running up to me, goes, "You're Jeff Nadolny." And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I thought the guy was going to fucking violate me. Kurt Stokes is still alive and well. Definitely still alive and well. We are good friends. Portlock? I've done a lot of videos about it. It's definitely a large Sasquatch clan that hunt humans there. Not tonight. I don't have any Inner Earth stories tonight. Hey, Christy Strom, how are you? Probably not. Probably not. I've got one for the largest. You're welcome, Andre. I've got a very very terrifying experience for our local flying cryptid expert that is in the house with us tonight, Aramic. September 2014, I'm visiting friends in Fayette County, West Virginia. I once lived there when I was a boy, and this was the first time I had been back since I left for college in 2005. My favorite pastime back then was to fish in the Kanawha River, especially near the falls and upriver in the deep water. On my way home, I stopped off the point downriver from the falls and walked around. It was an overcast and starting to turn to dusk. As I looked upriver toward the falls, I saw something flying over the river near the opposite bank. It was flying south along the bank over the houses and the railroad tracks. Then it banked and turned toward my direction. The closer it got to me, I started to realize how large this was. The body was black and was shaped like a cylinder tapered to a pair of short legs. The feet were tucked up, so I was unable to describe those. It didn't have much of a tail that I could see. The wings were wide and broad. I never saw them flap. It was floating and barely moving its wings. It was the strangest thing I ever saw. As I thought about it later, the wingspan was at least 20 feet. The texture was similar to leather, though the low light made it difficult to see. I couldn't really define a head or other features as it flew above me and beyond the trees. I wasn't scared, but I was amazed. I can't give you any idea of what it was. I never heard a sound. I didn't see it again. A week later, I called my aunt, who lives upstream from the falls, and mentioned it to her. She said she had never heard anything like it. I am not sure if this was an actual huge bird or something else. Anyway, thanks. Definitely the Mothman. Aramic, Mothman, and thank you, Aramic, for another 10 members, and Joseph Cannon. Thank you. Who can remember me from now on as Elijah? Elijah. All right, Elijah Cannon. Can I just call you Eli? I like Eli better. Eli! I know it was. Thank you, Orphan Andy. It was only December. It was in December when I had to shave my head. I take biotin, actually. I take lots of biotin. Claire Harris, I was just talking about that, dear. Thank you, George Coker. Why did you shave your head? Because I was getting surgery and I didn't want to have to. I didn't know how long I'd be down for, so I didn't shave it purposely. I got a haircut, and the guy cut my hair really bad. Like, so I have. Let me see. I have my part this way, and what he did was he took. Yeah. All right. So I'm backwards here. So right here, he shaved a line and gave me almost like a hard part, but didn't. It wasn't a hard part because after he put a line here, he shaved down. And I didn't notice it until he was done and he had put pomade in it. And it looked awesome when it had pomade in it. I looked like a little pimp. I was like, and then I got home and I took a shower and I looked at my hair and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck did he do to my head? So I had no other choice but to shave it. It was terrible. My dad is doing awesome. My dad's birthday is on the 24th. And Eli, thank you, brother. My dad's birthday is on the 24th. He is my dad is very sheltered and he has never been to like a really nice restaurant. And I'm taking me and him are going to go out to this restaurant called Salt and Char. It's a steakhouse, Salt and Char. And they have all kinds of really good steak there. But the thing that I'm taking him mainly for, my dad loves bacon. And they have a thing called clothesline bacon. And what they do is they have bacon that's like this thick, right? and it's soaked in like a maple syrup brown sugar for like a week. It soaks in this mixture. And then they cook it, they bake it, and then they hang it on this little clothesline thing that's about this big. And they take a torch and they char it. And it is so good. So good. Thank you, Sonia. I'll tell Big Jim you said that. My mom is doing good too. Oh, it's so good. Thank you, Storm. You can make fake bacon with rice paper and spices. No, thank you. No fucking thank you. There is no such thing as fake bacon. That's not bacon, and it shouldn't even say fake bacon. It should say rice paper with spices. Bacon is pork belly that is fucking thick, juicy, and bad for you. And it makes your fucking heart coagulate. And after you eat a whole bunch of it, you're like, there is no sense of eating bacon if it's not bacon. I hope Big Jim likes it. Pork belly is fucking delicious. What's up, Renee? How are you? You know what's almost as good as bacon? Beef bone marrow. Ooh, a nice, oh God, beef bone marrow. I'm almost getting a fucking woody thinking about it. Oh, yes, sir. All right. Enough of the fucking food porn. Andy, I love you, bro. Have a good night. Get back to me on what we talked about in the email, please. I want to make sure everything's doing well. I talked to my buddy, and my buddy is kind of curious if you can think of a name. He needs a name though, in order for what, and it does work because I had something similar, not as bad as you, but something weird was going on, and some shit happened, and he took care of it. Ruben Rodriguez. Yes, silver foxes do exist in upstate New York. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine. Two nights back, I had an experience with something in the wooded area around the lake at the overlook. I tried to do my research on what it could have been, and I came across encounters of other cryptids like skinwalkers and such. However, the suburban nature of this encounter has led me to disqualify the possibility of it being any. And its appearance and location has led me to believe that it may be what is regarded as the crawler. I don't know what it was, but it was something that felt somewhat human. But I know it couldn't have been a human. It felt too much like an animal. It still hit me like I was being watched by an animal. It just took longer for me to catch on than usual. So I'm there off the main streets in southwestern suburbs at the overlook, listening to music in my car. I often like to get out of the city and clear my head. And I feel like I heard something pulling up to me from behind. You know, it's late, it's dark. People like to come at the overlook and drink or find a little privacy. So I check my rear view and see it in the moonlight. Something in the shadows across the road up the hill, unsure of what it was. I move to adjust my mirror to get a better look when I see eyes like how animals have eyes that glisten in the dark. It's like that, but they are watching me through my rear view, transfixed, focused, intent, the way people do in photographs. It looked like what I now imagine is the devil of some kind. Tall, white as snow. It froze me in place. It had straightforward eyes like predators do. That's all I got a look at as it slinked up against and behind the trees. My head, I guess, finally processes what I'm seeing, and I get hit like someone poured ice down my back. That feeling I get when someone is approaching me from behind or something is watching me. This sends me bugging out into panic, so I shifted into drive and hook a right forward and out of the lot back onto the main road. Running along the hill, I speed up and head forward. I just drive till I hit the main road with streetlights again. I don't stop until I get back into the surrounding preserve area. The eyes felt so human, but it felt impossible for someone to be out there. But I know it just couldn't have been an animal, because when I'm out in the preserves, I never felt like that when I was among deer or other animal. It felt wrong, like it was invading my space or all of the space. It didn't feel like a person I know when they are around. I keep my guard up when I'm out there alone, but whatever it was flew beneath my senses and fit into the dark. I don't know what it was, but it made me feel sick that I was there, and I miss it. I didn't know until I fully registered something was out there with me. I don't know what it was, but if anyone has any idea, let me get a better understanding. Thank you. Crawler! Yes. Slick. Yes. I come from a family of 5 generations of Freemasons, actually. And anything you've ever heard on YouTube is false. Good night there, Wolf. Stay well. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Good night, Andy Davis. Love you, brother. Wesley September. Brian Mons. Have a good night, brother. This story is so freaking weird. You're still looking for the book, Aramic? You can't find one for under like fucking hundreds of dollars. It's ridiculous. Hey, Erica, how are you? I cannot, Slick. Yes, they do. And very limited, and they're not in the United States. Darth Revan, they are not in the United States, 100%. You're good. You're good. The Solomon Islands book. Solomon Islands. It's called Solomon Islands Mystery. I did. It's 3:00 in the morning. Fuck me. Solomon Islands Mystery by Maris Boyrayan. Boirayon. And it is an amazing book. You can get the book, like you can get a PDF of the book. Melissa Davies, thank you, dearie. Thank you so much. You can get a PDF of the book, but this is so weird, man. So I talk about the book on an upload that I did, and I had the book in my eBay cart because I found one for $167. And then there was one on Amazon by a private seller for $383, another one for $500, and then another one was $2,000. I wasn't going to put the upload out before I bought the book, but I was like, fuck it. I'll just put the upload out and then I'll run to the bank real quick, come home and buy the book. I walk out of the bank and I get on my phone and I go to eBay and there's the book is gone. I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, someone bought the book. I'm like, who? And I was like, what subscriber bought the book? And so couldn't find it. And then I found one from Hawaii, from the Friends of the Library in Hawaii or something like that for $174. And I was like, that's the most expensive fucking used book I've ever fucking bought. But a subscriber sent me half the money to buy it. She sent me an email and she goes, here is a link to where you can get the book for $174. And here is $100. And I'm like, no shit. I'm like, awesome. Thank you. And it's supposed to be here sometime next week. Ruben Rodriguez, thank you so much. It's going to be a hard one to find, Tim. It's going to be a hard one to find. Simone, how are you? I did a Queensland, no, a Sydney experience earlier for you, dear, but you weren't here with us. The book is called Solomon Island Mysteries, and it's by a guy named Maris Boyrayan, Marius, Maris, and then Boyrayan is Boirayon. Really amazing book. It's fucking great. I have the PDF. I almost didn't want to spend the money to buy it. And I printed it out. Like I printed the 310 pages out. So they're like this. And I put it in a file, like a manila envelope or a manila folder. But then when the subscriber sent me the money and said, here's the link to the book, I was like, I got to get the book now. You know what I mean? Like, I got to get it. Yes, I did know that, Turbo Christ, because I live in a national park. I live in the Adirondacks. So within certain areas, we can't have motorized equipment allowed. Yes. When I bring you guys up with me, I've talked about it. Did you click on the bell 3, Mom? All right. This one's fucking creepy. Creepy peepee. Excuse my English, I'm not from the United States. It was the 3rd day of February 2012 in the Brazilian state of Rio Grande. It happened several years ago. My sisters, my mom, and me went to have some fun in some beach very far from our home. Our mom had rented a house of a friend a few days, which we used while going to and coming back from the beach. Joseph Gannon, or Eli, thank you. It was one of those very dirty beaches where trash was dumped all around and not that many people were going to it. But for us, it was very fun. I even remember joking to my sister that there are probably sharks on the beach. It was pretty hot as well, and I have skin like a vampire. So after the first day on the beach, I was looking like Mr. Krabs, and I had to stay at the house while they went to have fun, which for me, it was okay. I'm kind of introverted. One day, mom and the sisters, except for the youngest one, all had to go to some specific place. One went to color their nails, the other went to have a massage, two decided to go back to the beach, and my mom was going to the club with her friends. She's a boomer. My young sis went to sleep, and basically it was just me in this two-floored house, which was way bigger than the home I was raised in. The place is kind of creepy, and it did not help that the moon that day was full. So I was young and stupid, so I was scared to hell by the creepy night and also full of energy. So I jumped over the fence of the house and climbed over. My thoughts at the time were stupid. I'm going to look for my mom. I did that without thinking about stuff like the possibility of getting kidnapped or killed or robbed. This is Brazil, after all. Street crime is very high. Sorry. God damn it. Street crime is very high. Anyway, I walk a little bit around the town, but then I realize I'm lost. I am utterly overwhelmed by the samey modern buildings, and I have no idea where I am. I also have no idea where my mom is. I knew that she had went to a club, but I didn't know which one. After the fear of being lost fully took over, I decided to give up and go back to the house, but I didn't know where the house was, so I walked around. There were very few people that night, and I was anxiety-filled to ask anyone. Eventually, the road mixed with a path of dirt. It sort of looked like a path in front of the house, so I thought I was in the right direction, since I took another path after getting out of the house, but there were several others which this path could lead to. So I walked and I found the beach, not the beach where I went with my sisters, but a beach. But little me did not know that, so I ran into the beach because I thought that I could find my two sisters. However, they were not on the beach because they were somewhere else. This beach had a lot of rocks leading up to the outside of the water. You know, the spiked rocks that normally sink ships. Yeah, those. And one of those all the way to the sand. I kept seeing something moving beside it in the corner of my vision. So I just looked at the rock. Then something came out from beside the rock. This thing, it seemed to be the size of an adult male. It stood straight. It had legs and feet, but it was not a human. And the biggest proof was the left arm. You know centipedes, those black things with thousands of legs? Yeah, his left arm was like that. The thing extended to the ground and moved like it had a life of its own. I could see all of the little legs or appendages moving. The whole body was weird, not just the centipede arm. You know the green guy from Nightmare Before Christmas? This man was kind of like that, but made of skin and with an egg-shaped head. I don't know what the man did after he saw me, because after seeing him in the clear moonlight with the ocean backdrop, my child self, was absolutely terrified, and I straight up bolted. I ran away as far as I could from the beach without looking back. Eventually, while running in the path of dirt, one of my sisters found me. It looks like they were looking for me for a while. Once we got to the house, I got scolded to hell by my mom, who was angry as the devil with me for running away. She thought I had gotten kidnapped or something worse. I did tell this experience to my sisters. Obviously, they found it to be unbelievable. In fact, the only one that believes in it is my youngest, but she also believes in witchcraft shit. So I guess her belief is really wonky. To be clear with you guys, I don't believe in the supernatural shit like werewolves, Bigfoot, Greys, and all that crap. I think it's all conspiracy. But to this day, I have no idea that man thing that I saw, and I do know that is real. So you want us to believe that you saw a guy with a fucking centipede arm, but you don't believe in Dogman? I don't believe you, Dick Munch. All right. Oh, last lot lizard story of the night. Are you guys ready for the lot lizard story? Melissa Davies, thank you. Okay, here we go. Lot lizard. Lot lizard. Earl, the trucker, with a gut that strained his Big Rig Rules t-shirt in a laugh that rattled windows, was a simple man. He loved his 18-wheeler Loretta, his country music, and butt crack Betty. Now, Betty wasn't your typical sweetheart. She was a lot lizard with a penchant for neon pink leggings, a vocabulary that would make a sailor blush, and a name that Earl, in his boundless affection, shortened to BCB. He met her at the last chance gas and grab, a truck stop so desolate it made tumbleweeds look crowded. BCB was leaning against a dumpster, smoking a cigarette and arguing with a possum. It was love at first sight, at least for Earl. She's got spirit, he'd tell Loretta, patting the dashboard. Loretta, being a truck, remained unconvinced. Their relationship was unconventional. Earl would bring BCB roses he'd swipe from roadside memorials, and BCB would regift them to other truckers for profit. He'd serenade her with off-key renditions of Kenny Rogers, and she'd critique his vibrato with brutal honesty. He saw a diamond in the rough. Everyone else just saw a rough. Things took a turn for the bizarre one stormy night. Earl was hauling a load of rubber chickens to a novelty convention in Reno. And BCB, naturally, was riding shotgun. Loretta groaning under the weight, and the wind was howling like a banshee. BCB was meticulously applying electric blue eyeshadow using the rearview mirror. Honey, Earl said, battling to keep Loretta on the road, this storm's a real humdinger. I got a feeling something ain't right. BCB, never one to be detoured from her beauty regime, just snorted. Something ain't right? Earl, you're hauling a truckload of rubber chickens across Nevada desert with a woman who answers to butt crack Betty. Death ain't right. Suddenly, the CB cracked to life. Static filled the cab, followed by a voice that sounded like a gravel gargling with motor oil. Turn back, Earl. Turn back before it's too late. Earl, ever the superstitious sort, felt a chill crawl down his spine. Who is this? The voice, dripping with menace, rasped. They're waiting. They're hungry for rubber and flesh. BCB rolled her eyes. Sounds like Randy trying out his Halloween voice again. Pay him no mind, Earl. He's just jealous. But Earl wasn't convinced. The storm intensified, and the cab began to shake violently. Outside, shadows danced in the periphery of the headlights, taking on grotesque chicken-like forms. BCB, Earl stammered. I think we're being haunted by rubber chicken demons. BCB burst into laughter, a sound that competed with the wind. Rubber chicken demons? Earl, you finally lost it. Next thing you know, you're going to be telling me Loretta talks to you. Just then, Loretta's engine sputtered and died. The truck lurched to a halt in the middle of the desolate highway. The headlights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows of rubber chickens in the trailer. Okay, BCB said, her voice losing some of its bravado. Now I'm starting to get a little creeped out. The gravelly voice returned on the CB. The chickens awaken. They demand a sacrifice. Earl, fueled by the potent cocktail of fear and devotion, grabbed BCB's hand. I won't let them get you, BCB. I'll fight them off with my bare hands. He threw open the truck door and stepped out into the storm, armed with nothing but his Big Rig Rules t-shirt and a pocket knife. The shadows swirled around him, the wind whipping his hair into a frenzy. He could hear the fainting squawking of the rubber chickens from the trailer, growing louder and more menacing. Then a figure emerged from the darkness. It was tall and gaunt, with glowing red eyes and a beak-like nose. It wore a tattered rubber chicken suit. Greetings, Earl, the figure croaked. We've been expecting you. Earl, terrified, raised his pocket knife. Stay back, you fiend. I'll protect BCB with my life. The figure chuckled, a dry, rasping sound. We don't want your girl, Earl. We want the chickens. They were promised to us. Earl looked back at Loretta, then back at the figure. But they're just rubber chickens. What do you want them for? The figure sighed. We use them for recreational purposes, mostly interpretive dance. The figure sighed. BCB, who had cautiously emerged from the truck, couldn't contain herself. Interpretive dance with rubber chickens? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The figure glared at her, its red eyes burning into her soul. Silence, mortal. This is serious business. Earl, sensing the opportunity, spoke up. Look, I'll make a deal with you. You let us go, and I'll give you the rubber chickens. Just promise to leave us alone. The figure considered this for a moment, then nodded. Very well, Earl. We accept your offer, but if you ever cross us again. With a final menacing squawk, the figure and its shadowy companions vanished into the storm. Earl, revealed and slightly bewildered, climbed back into Loretta. Well, BCB said, adjusting her eyeshadow. That was interesting. Earl started Loretta back up. The engine sputtered back to life as if nothing had happened. As they drove off into the night, BCB couldn't help but smile. You know, Earl, she said, for a guy who's afraid of rubber chickens and demons, you are not so bad. Earl grinned, his heart swelling with affection. He knew their relationship was strange, maybe even a little crazy, but he wouldn't trade it for nothing. Not even a truckload of rubber chickens. And as for the rubber chicken demons, well, he figured they just needed a little love too, and maybe a good dance lesson. Melissa, thank you so much. Spirit Level, what's up, buddy? How are you? Otis Driftwood, how are you? All right, this is going to be the last encounter of the night, and then I got to crash because I'm tired. Ugh. And I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And Janie, happy birthday. Bang, happy birthday. This past winter, my wife and I decided to make a drive to Colorado Springs on on the recommendation of a friend of mine. She had never seen the mountains before, so I figured the Rockies would be perfect. We stayed at the Holiday Inn that was right at the base of the mountain. Basically, we had a great view of Pikes Peak as soon as we looked out our window. She was thrilled. She had never seen anything like it before. And she's a sucker for a gift shop, so this place was great. We had a great time. On our second day there, we decided to drive up Pikes Peak. But we were told that the gate we could go up most of the way, but the very summit was closed because there was too much snow. We could still get really high up. I think Pikes Peak is around 14,000 feet. And we got to like 11,000 before it was closed off. So we are above the awesome clouds because it just looked like we were out over the ocean. We stopped at a little rest center on the way up and got some hot cocoa for the drive and a magnet for Colorado since we collect magnets for every state we go. It was pretty cool because we had a Bigfoot crossing sign along the way up, which is really fun to take pictures in front of. Anyway, once we got to the closed off part of Pikes Peak, we parked our car and got out and just took in the view. I didn't think anybody else was up there with us, except the guy with the little up the way sitting in his truck, making sure people didn't go that far. Even if we couldn't go to the summit, it was still beautiful. We did take some pictures, all of which were pretty terrible. And it was really cold. But I'd insisted that we buy 511 jacket, pants, and boots for our trek, and my wife didn't understand why I demanded on that brand. But if you're a dude, you know. So we were pretty toasty. I wandered off and started to look around at the rocks, and a few trees were up at this elevation. I just like to explore the beaten path. I heard the snow crunching nearby and assumed it was another sightseer, so I moved toward the sound of crunching, but I didn't see anyone. There are a few trees here and there, but not hard to really see. It was snowing a bit, however, the wind was blowing the snow sideways. I'd gone pretty far from my wife at this point and didn't want to stray too much further, but I was honestly hoping to see a wolf or something. I found tracks in the snow, and they were fairly small. The snow was kind of deep, so I couldn't really tell what kind of animal had made them, but it definitely looked like they were walking on all four. So I was really hoping I'd see a wolf. I didn't see a wolf. At first, I didn't see a thing. I followed the tracks around the tree and kind of carefully peeked around it, but didn't see anything. The tracks stopped there, though I didn't get right up on the tree because if it was a wolf, I didn't want to be face to face with it. I'll also say I have no idea if there are wolves in the Rockies. I'm just sort of hoping. What I did see eventually was a pure white thing scurry away from the exact location I was looking. It was pure white. I am not sure if it was invisible or just blended perfectly in with the snow. It moved on all fours. It had a huge bulbous head, kind of like the way you'd think the typical version of an alien with spindly body. Its arms and legs were super skinny. Its body wasn't that much bigger. Its arms and legs themselves were really long. I'd say it was probably between 4 to 5 feet in height if it were standing straight up. It was a bit hard to tell on all fours. And the snow, it turned around and looked at me. And it had very small black eyes and no defining features. Its eyes were really far apart and almost on the side of its head. Its feet and hands were burned, but when it moved, I saw what its hand looked like. It had fingers, and they were just too long, like not E.T. long, but wiry, spindly. It looked at me for just a couple seconds and looked forward away from me. And as soon as it landed in the snow, it was invisible again, or I just couldn't see it. Then it hopped again, and it jumped a good 6 feet or so from the deep dead stop. Then it hopped again, and it jumped another good 6 feet. It took off running. It ran away from me and got scolded. It got scolded by scaled. It ran off away from me and scaled some rocks in the distance, like it was nothing, crawling up the hillside. Whatever it was in the snow, it looked invisible. I am not sure because it was all white or because it was like actually turning invisible. Anyway, in a few seconds, it was gone. When I got back to my wife, who was waiting inside of our car, she didn't believe a word of it and thought I was just trying to scare her. To this day, she doesn't believe me. And I don't know what it was. I'll never heard of a cryptid like that ever. And on the track back down, I asked the lady at the gift shop if she had ever heard anybody reporting anything like that. All she said was, "I've only heard people talk about Bigfoot." All right. Oh, fuck. Guys, thank you for spending Saturday evening with me. I love you all. I had a blast tonight. I honestly cannot wait to just crawl in bed and crash. You're fine, Clint. I'm glad that you were here with us. No one's ever late. You guys are just here. You know what I mean? Like at least we're hanging out. That's the way I look at it. I will be putting the early morning, middle of the night bonus upload in about 20 minutes while I'm crawling into my bed. So with that, thank you all for all of your support. I fucking love you guys. And I honestly couldn't think of a better way of spending my Saturdays. Like, Saturdays are just so special to me. So thank you. And you guys are the reason for it. With that, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and don't let your meat loaf. Love you guys.